In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how one of my clients, Jack, was able to raise over £10,000 for his new film. That's right, 5 figures he has now raised, and he did this in 29 days. And he was still able to do all of this in the middle of a global pandemic. So Jack bought my program earlier this year, and he went through all of the trainings and he implemented everything that I teach step by step. And he has now gone on to raise £10,000. Well, more than £10,000. He actually ended up raising more money than what he needed. So Jack made that initial investment to actually buy my program, and he has now got that investment back plus a whole lot more, which is always good stuff. So if Jack can do it in the middle of a global pandemic, then you can do it, especially as we emerge from this whole pandemic thing. So with that said, let me show you Jack's story. Cool. All right. So hey everyone, Jordan Bunton-Williams here, founder of 100 Day Film Financing. And today I am joined by Jack, who's a client of mine, and he signed on board of 100 Day Film Financing, and he is now gone on to raise a lot of money, 5 figures. So Jack, thank you for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. So just quickly, so how are you feeling right now, knowing that after all of this work you've put in, you've now raised over £10,000 for your new film?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I feel great. I mean, in the past, I mean, I've actually made a feature film before a few years ago, and it took me well over a year to raise the finance. It took various different forms of crowdfunding. I set up some fundraising events and stuff like that, but the full process took me like a full year. Whereas obviously your crowdfunding campaign, obviously following your program, it was so much easier. Do you know what I mean? Basically.
Perfect. Cool. And so what's your film about?
Basically, mate, it's a crime comedy. So in lockdown, obviously, March, April, May, when the full country were confined to the homes, I felt like writing a comedy because I just felt like at this time the world was a bit of a strange place, to be fair. And I just felt like writing a comedy. And to be honest, Jordan, I'm not really into comedies. I just started writing and a comedy came out. So I knew I could make it on a low budget. I'd obviously been liaising with yourself about obviously crowdfunding, and I thought, you know what, let's just go for it. I was a bit apprehensive at first, obviously, with the way this year's turned out, and obviously there was a part of me thinking, is it going to work? Because obviously some people are out of work and whatever. But I just thought, you know what, life's short, got to go for it. I did, and I'm so glad I did, and I'm so glad, obviously, that you helped me along the way. And it's obviously here we are.
Yeah, at the end, so happy for you. Like. Yeah, as soon as I saw it cross that line and you went over the £10,000 mark, I was just like, yes.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
Like, it must be such a good feeling, man.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is a feature film, right?
This is a full feature, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the running time? How many pages is your film? So
my script is 120 pages. I'm confident it's going to be about an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I say, I've made a feature before. I managed to. I shot that on about the same, about 10 grand. The last one was a drama. This one's a comedy. There's no CGI, no big action set pieces. It's pretty much just characters interacting with each other.
Yeah.
A lot of my characters, a lot of my actors kind of work on the cheap because we're all in the same boat. We're all independent filmmakers, so we all kind of help each other out. I've got a really good tight crew who I pay them, obviously. That's what the budget's for, but they've all agreed to work for pretty cheap. And yeah, it's basically making a film on a low budget. It's all about just cutting corners and cutting costs and getting a really tight crew, people that you trust, and people that are just passionate about filmmaking.
Perfect. And so what gave you the inspiration to make this specific film? Because you said you don't really do comedy, right? So what gave you the
No.
inspiration to do this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I said earlier, Jordan, with when lockdown kicked in, and I knew that I was going to be literally confined to my house for a few months. I thought, I got a blank piece of paper out, and I just started writing all these characters. That's how I usually start, just with characters. And all the characters were quite funny, or they was doing funny stuff, or they was getting up to weird stuff. And then I just started kind of piecing them together. They all lived in the same community, and then like it just turned into a comedy, really. And I think I found it quite cathartic at the time, because, like I say, the world was a weird place. I don't like watching the news. There was nobody outside. Everyone was literally just locked in the houses, and it was so unusual. I mean, obviously, you went through it. Everyone went through it. Mm-hmm. And I just found it quite cathartic writing about these characters who were getting up to no good and doing weird stuff. And like I say, it just became a comedy. So that's kind of how it came around.
Yeah, cool. So let's talk about the campaign then. So
yeah.
So in total, how many people did you have in total to get you up to your 10 grand?
So sorry, do you mean how many backers or how many people in my team?
How many backers did you have to get you up to your £10,000?
I think when I checked earlier, it was 131 backers in total.
Jeez, 131.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. And do you know what? It felt good as well. It felt good because, like I put a post out on my Facebook page today, just basically saying how humbled I feel, because 131 people connected with this project.
Yeah.
Whether it was like because they knew me personally, but a lot of the backers don't know me personally. I mean, some of them were actually from the States.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It just felt really good, like that they're connecting with the work that me and my team are putting out there, and that's what feels good. Obviously, it's great getting the money so we can actually make the film, but it feels good that we're actually reaching people, film fans all over the world. And they're looking at our stuff, looking at our campaign video, and they're thinking, do you know what? Yeah, I'll support these guys. That's what feels good. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah. And also another byproduct of it, another good thing about that is that you've now already got a whole audience that's ready to consume your film before you've even made the film.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. I've actually... One of my pledges was for like a cinema screening in Hull, where I live. But
yeah, I saw you adding that in. That was nice and good.
Yeah, I did that because I did that on my last feature, and it was quite popular. So I thought I'd do it this time. But the response has been that great. I'm actually going to have to host a few screenings. There's that many people that want to see the film, and I'm going to have to actually arrange maybe 3 or 4 nights.
Oh, it's so good, Jack. that is so good. So like explain your whole journey then. So from the time that you first found out about 100-day film financing all the way up until now, from the first, how did you find out about it? Explain the whole process for you.
So basically, it was back in January. It was a cold morning. I was getting ready to go to work, and one of your adverts popped up on Facebook. And obviously, being a filmmaker, trying to raise finance for my own films, immediately caught my attention. I obviously checked out your stuff. You got in touch straight away. We started emailing pretty early, and I was just interested early on, because I think I'm speaking on behalf of filmmakers all over the world, where one of the hardest obstacles to overcome is raising the finance.
I know.
I mean, personally, I'm from like a working class background, and like none of my family really have much money. None of my friends have much money, and like I say, I think obviously the way you sold it to me at first was raise finance for your own films. Don't worry about anyone else. Just do it yourself.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I've always kind of done that myself anyway. And I've crowdfunded in the past. And to be honest, in the past there was Indiegogo, and I wouldn't say it failed, but I raised a couple of grand, which was great. It got the ball rolling for me. But this whole Kickstarter campaign that obviously you've arranged, there's a lot more to it, a lot more. It goes so much deeper than what I was previously like kind of used to, and that's what kind of first got me hooked. And then obviously it was just a case of looking at all your stuff, looking at examples, and obviously some of your previous clients and stuff like that. And then obviously when lockdown kicked in March, the full thing obviously went on hold, and I thought, right, this is the perfect time to write a script. Wrote the script, and then maybe like June, July time, when the country was regaining a little bit of normality, that's when I kind of tapped back into your program. And I thought, right, I'd touched upon it earlier on in the year, but I thought, right, this is a good time. I've got the script. This is a good time to kind of get stuck into the marketing campaign side of it. Yeah. And then that was it. Here we are.
I mean, congrats. I'm like, such good news. So just to clarify, so you've already run a campaign before and you raised what, $2,000 before?
To be honest, John, it wasn't even that. I think it was about £1,900.
Really?
Yeah. that was maybe 2016 or 17.
Yeah.
And again, it was a campaign for another feature. And to be honest, at the time I was really confident because we had a really good promotional video, which I think this time round as well we had a good promotional video. But obviously, I was following the rules that you've kind of set out. So the way the video panned out in the Kickstarter campaign was adhered more to your kind of strategy. In the past, it was slightly different, but even so, it still had a really good production value, and it just looked really cool. So the full team were really confident. Yeah. I think what I lacked before, and the full campaign lacked, was obviously the depth of like marketing that you've got to go into. Because essentially, in my opinion, your kind of crowdfunding program it's all about marketing. It's about reaching the right people, which I've really struggled with in the past, because I've always said to myself, and do you know what? This goes back to your previous question, but one of the main things that kind of drew me to you initially was you kind of posed the question. Well, I think you just it was just a statement that you made somewhere, and it's basically there are people out there in the world willing to fund films and interested in independent films. Yeah. And that's what I always said. And I thought, I just need to find them. They're out there.
Of course, yeah.
And they're willing to help. They want to help people like me and other independent filmmakers. But it's just finding these people. There aren't many, obviously, where I'm living at the minute and in my kind of circle. But it's just a case of branching out, reaching out, and finding these people. And that's obviously what your program helps us to do. So thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So just to clarify, so you've gone from running your own campaign yourself and raising, £1,900 to now going through the 100-day film funding program and now raising $10,000.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. Yep.
So good.
Yeah. Awesome.
And also because there's this. How many social media followers do you have, by the way? Because there's this whole notion that in order to run a successful five-figure campaign like you've done, a lot of people think you need to be famous on social media, and you really don't. You've proved it. So how many social media followers do you have?
I set up an Instagram page. So I was obviously, as per your program kind of states, I set up a limited company early on, January, February time. And at that same time, I set up an Instagram page my film production company is called True Love Films. So I set up an Instagram page for True Love Films back in January. And then obviously I started working through your program. Like I say, lockdown kicked in. That all kind of got put on hold while I was writing my script. But I used the lockdown period to kind of add and follow people and try and slowly build up my social media. But I think even to date, my Instagram page only has I think it's got about 580 followers.
580 followers, and you still managed to go out and raise $10,000.
Yeah, I mean, my personal Facebook page I've got about 1,000 friends, but I mean they're all kind of personal. A lot of them have helped me out on this campaign. Don't get me wrong, but I think one of the key things was in kind of building my network. Again, as your program kind of specifies. Just getting a small team together. It was actually my production team. So,
yeah.
I mean, and a few of my actors as well. We just got together and I explained what was going on. And I think obviously between the five of us, obviously I actually had the least followers on social media. Yeah. But for example, one of my actors, I think she had 2,000. One of my other actors had maybe 1,000. But these are all totally different networks of people. So my team was obviously reaching out with this campaign video that we'd produced, but it was just reaching, obviously, audiences that I'd never be able to reach. So
yeah. Yeah, it's always good. It's always so important to have a team working with you, because it's
Definitely.
I mean, like, some people have done it by themselves, but it just makes it so much easier when you're sharing the workload with other people as well.
Definitely, yeah.
And also, one other thing that we just can't ignore is that you've managed to do all of this in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
When most people are, sort of scared to launch campaigns right now because they don't know if they're actually going to raise the money. You've raised more money in the middle of a pandemic than you did, back in 2016, when you only raised £1,900, trying to do it by yourself without any guidance.
That's it. Yeah, I think one of the key kind of points there, Jordan, was I kind of used it to my advantage. And when we was, I even actually mentioned it in the campaign video itself. We're just kind of saying to people, look, we're a bunch of filmmakers, we're passionate about what we do. And I think especially this year, especially during the lockdown period, the early stages, March, April time, pretty much everybody was confined to the homes. And what did people do? We watched films, we listened to music, we read books. It was the arts. All we had was the arts to keep us entertained.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of started. That was like my kind of strategy. I thought, I'll just kind of say to people, look, what have you been doing this year? You've been watching films. So
exactly, yeah.
Help us out, and we'll give you some more to watch.
That's right. And I think this lockdown is kind of, there's a lot of positives to take from this lockdown as well, because there was kind of nothing else to do but to work on your own projects anyway.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I'm speaking on behalf of like all my crew and a lot of creatives I know, but a lot of people obviously suffered because it's such a weird time, and obviously your income's affected and stuff like that. But I think if you're a creative person, to be honest, I absolutely loved the lockdown period. I mean, I did obviously have a massive wage cut and there wasn't much money coming in. There's always a worry. There's always stuff going on. There's always stuff to worry about. But it was the first time in my entire life where I had pretty much unlimited time to work on my scripts, on my films. And I'm always complaining. I'm forever complaining that I never have enough time. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I had loads of time. So it's like, I need to make the most of it, basically.
Perfect. Cool. So when are you aiming to start shooting this film then?
Well, this is it, Jordan. So I've spoke to my crew today. We're all ready to go, basically. All my actors are happy to start filming soon. My only concern at the moment is I've got quite a lot of scenes in like pubs, bars and restaurants.
That's going to be difficult.
Exactly. So I need to, luckily, it's a lot of these locations are run by my friends. So like I've got a lot of friends who have pubs and restaurants, and I basically need to make sure it's okay with them for us to kind of gather in there. And as long as they're comfortable with us filming in there, all the cast and crew are pretty much ready to go. So it's just a case of as soon as my locations are ready for us, we can start filming. Whether it's December, January, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say at the minute, isn't it? But see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, all the best with it. I mean,
yeah,
I made a picture as well, so I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Definitely, mate. Yeah.
And yeah, lastly, so if people want to find out more about your film and your production company, True Love Films, where should people go to find out more information? Should they go to your website or Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram. I think I found, again, obviously, just from this crowdfunding program of yours,
yeah.
I've discovered that Instagram, I don't know if it's just me personally with my followers, but Instagram seems to be the most popular platform for me. I don't know. It could be Facebook for other people, but Instagram that's where I seem to get the most kind of connections with people. So
okay.
Our True Love Films Instagram page, we update that quite regularly, and that's, if anyone's interested, that's the place to go. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll put the link or something.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
In the description below. So yeah. So, and lastly, after your experience, after going through the program and raising £10,000, well, over £10,000, what would you say to someone who is considering joining the 100-day film financing program?
I'd say go for it 100%. But just be ready. There is a lot of work involved. There's no denying it. What I did learn is that it's a daily thing. Literally every single day you have to be on it. And my team, were on it, but I was on it more. But that's just because obviously it was my scripts, and I was obviously the driving force behind it. But I had a passionate team there, and like that's it. It's just hard work every day. You've just got to be on it. Any kind of spare 10-15 minutes you get, you need to be reaching out to people. And there was something interesting that you really said at some point during your program that really stuck with me. And it's to obviously just before you launch, you need to be reaching out to like that many people. It's going to get to the point where you actually feel a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you did say that, and I did feel that.
So you've managed to get your initial investment back and now get 10 grand, which is great, right?
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. I've never had 10 grand before, so yeah, I feel like I've won the lottery, to be fair.
I can imagine. And it's so much better because you're in control now. You're not waiting for, a film funding competition to see if you've reached the semi-finals or the quarterfinals or whatever. Like, you're the person in the driving seat. You can control everything now, which must be so much better.
Exactly.
You've already got your audience now, and you're set.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say the hard bit's out the way, but every stage of the filmmaking process is difficult. You know that,
Oh, of course, yeah.
Like, I think I was saying to my crew today, like they were saying, "Oh, that's the hard bit out the way," and I'm like, "Well, we need to shoot the movie. That's hard. Then we need to edit the movie. That's hard.
Yeah.
And then we need to get it out there to the world, and that's hard." Do you know? So it's all difficult, but I mean, this has definitely been a massive learning curve for me. And I mean, thanks to you, mate, because like I say, it's stuff I wouldn't have. I've obviously dabbled in it in the past, but I've never gone this deep into it. And I've learnt a lot. Some of it I have forgotten, I'm not going to lie, because there is quite a lot of taking, but some of it's really stuck with me. And I'm definitely, there's certain tools there that's really stuck with me, and I'm 100% going to use them in the future, no doubt.
Amazing. Perfect. Cool. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but thank you for even doing this.
No worries, mate. Thank you.
And I'll be sharing this with the people on my mailing list as well to give your film a bit more exposure.
Thank you.
Let me know if there's anything else I can do to help you with your film.
Yeah, I will do, mate. Appreciate that, Jordan. Yeah, like I say, I'll keep you posted on all the progress and stuff like that. As soon as it's ready, as soon as I've got a link, you'll be one of the first people to see it, mate. So, and like I say, I'll be having a few screenings in Hull. I don't know if you ever get up north, but if you do, mate, there'll be a ticket for you.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Cool. All right. Well, have a good evening, and all the rest of the film. I'll be checking my emails to see the updates and everything. So, all the best, Jack.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted, mate. Thank you, Jordan. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Take care, mate. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video, and as you have just heard from Jack, he has now raised over £10,000 for his film. He has now got an audience that is ready and waiting to see his film, and his problem is that he sold too many tickets for his film. Okay, so he sold so many tickets via his Kickstarter campaign that he now has to hold multiple screenings so everyone can get their chance to watch his film. And I don't know about you, but that sounds like a very good problem to have, right? I mean, there's greater tragedies in the world than that. So for those of you that want to watch Jack's film, and for those of you that want to find out more about Jack's production company, then the links to his stuff would be somewhere on this video. And again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if this inspired you, if this resonated with you and you would like more information about how my program 100 Day Film Financing could help you to raise funding for your films, then I would like you to click the link somewhere around this video, or just go to 100dayfilmfinancing.com, and there you'll be able to get instant access to a completely free 1-hour masterclass that could potentially help you. And then at the end of the free masterclass, you will then have the opportunity to join my paid program, 100-day film financing, and that is there for the people that want that. So yeah, click the link somewhere on this video and I will see you on the free masterclass.